Hello, my lovely bun-buns. Welcome to the magical world of Usagi Tales. I'm Usagi, your favorite chibi bunny VTuber, here to bring you the juiciest, most captivating stories from the depths of Reddit. Whether it's jaw-dropping drama, heartwarming confessions, or hilarious mishaps, I've got it all right here for you. So grab your favorite snack, get comfy, and let's dive into today's juicy story. Alrighty, the first story is from Did I Fluff Up? Did I fluff up by trusting my girlfriend and ignoring all the red flags? Throw away, cause she uses Reddit and would probably recognize my main account. Will probably recognize the story if she sees it anyways. Oh well, I don't really care. I just need to vent. Did I fluff up? Or maybe 8 months ago, I fluffed up. I began dating this girl 8 months ago. For context, I am 31 male and she is 30 female. She seemed to be perfect to me. We liked the same things. She said all the right things. We had so much fun together. She put as much effort into the dates as I did. The sex life was amazing. When I decided to date again, I knew I was looking for the one. I am at that stage in my life where I don't want to date around or sleep around anymore. I was very honest about who I am and what I'm looking for. I felt so comfortable with her, and I opened up to her. I shared things with her I've never told anyone else. I recognized some red flags very early on. She lacked communication via text. She always said she just forgot or just fell asleep or was busy. And I asked her about it nicely a couple of times and found out she was taking dating advice from TikTok, and this is something she learned to make me want her more. She admitted to doing it intentionally, but would change. This problem continued almost the entire relationship. I should have ran away here, but I didn't. She had mostly guy friends around her age. Her other friends were a mix of immature 20s, somethings from work. She said it's due to her hobbies. Girls don't like video games or cars. I was okay with this, as long as she did not have any sexual history with any of them. I set a hard boundary for this. She admitted to dating one in high school, but it was so long ago that there was nothing between them anymore. I was okay with him after meeting him, and she swore up and down there was no sexual history with any others. I later found she and him would send porn, hentai, and other suggestive content to each other, which led me to finding out more. I also noticed she would text and call this friend far more often and frequent than she would text or call me. A guy she used to casually hook up with hit her up and said how much he missed her and thought she was really cool. I asked her to block him. She didn't understand why, but did anyways, or so she told me. I never verified this. She refused to admit that he was likely hitting her up to hook up. She said he was just being friendly. I told her I don't care either way. It's a hard boundary for me to not be in contact with previous hookups or exes. If she does that, then I don't want to be in a relationship. She said I was being controlling and insecure, but would abide by that boundary anyways. I should have ran here. I didn't. She had an out-of-town friend that she goes to shows with. She swore many times that she's never slept with him. I had multiple conversations with her how I could tell that this dude was into her and wanted to sleep with her. He would pressure her to take ecstasy with him. He had taken advantage of her friend. He was hooking up with a married woman. This guy was bad news, and I knew it. She wanted to go out with him one night, and I said I would trust her, just to text me when she got home. She never did. She swore to me that she just got too drunk and forgot. She invited me to the show they had planned with him and her the very next day, and he was clearly upset that I was there. And they had a blowout fight and he went home. After I saw the inappropriate content with her other friend, I looked into her DMs, with her permission, and found out that she actually did have a sexual history with this person, and she lied to me about it, multiple times. I still don't believe that she didn't sleep with him that night. She got too drunk and forgot to text me back. I broke up with her immediately upon finding this out, as I had also set a hard boundary about being honest / not trying to or not lying to me. I probably could have found much more info, but what's the point? I had all I needed to know to break up. There were plenty more red flags. I found condoms in her backpack. She was so secretive with her phone. She would get texts from unsaved numbers and say I was just imagining it. Nothing was there, and she never deletes anything. I was gaslit into believing her for 8 months, and it made me feel horrible. I talked to my therapist constantly about this. She suggested I trust her, as that's all I could do. I considered medication, thinking I must be crazy. She promised me so many times she would never lie to me. She would never do anything to hurt me. She didn't want to ruin this relationship, and she loved me so much. She was supposed to move in 3 weeks. We had future plans together. I feel relief being out of this relationship. It was pure torture mentally. I had never had trust issues in any previous relationship until this one. At the same time, I just wish I could talk to her again and work things out, but I know the trust is completely gone. It's an awful feeling. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. I suppose I dodged a bullet, but right now I feel like shit. Ooh, buns. Where do I even begin with this one? This story is like a cautionary tale wrapped up in red flags, dripped in drama, and sprinkled with a whole lot of why did I stay so long? Let me just say this. If you're looking for the one, well, she was clearly the one to drive you up the wall. First off, the whole taking advice from TikTok to manipulate you thing, that's a red flag big enough to land planes. I mean, if your communication strategy comes from 15-second clips, we've got problems. Relationships aren't some game where you're playing 4D chess trying to make someone want you more. Be real or be gone. Then there's the guy friends. Oh boy. She claims girls don't like cards or video games. Sis, have you seen the internet? There are literally tons of women into all that. Sounds like a convenient excuse to surround herself with dudes and then play it off like it's normal. And don't get me started on sending porn and hentai with a friend. The I swear we're just friends energy is seriously sketchy at this point. OP deserves someone who doesn't treat boundaries like suggestions at a buffet. Oh, and that ex who hits her up with the I miss you vibes? Please. OP called that one out, but she played it like it was nothing. The level of denial is unmatched. Buns, when someone from the past comes back and it's all, I miss you, it's never just to catch up over tea, alright? She knew exactly what was going on and just didn't want to admit it. And let's not forget the cherry on top. That out-of-town friend she never slept with, except, oops, she actually did. I'm sure he was upset OP came along to the show because his sneaky little plan was cock-blocked. And the too drunk to text you excuse? Girl, bye. OP dodged a grenade launcher with that one. Honestly, the fact that OP even had to double-check her DMs, find condoms in her bag, and deal with shady phone habits? Yeah, no. Red flags aren't supposed to be collected like Pokemon cards. Trust your gut and good for OP for finally saying enough is enough. Therapy's right. You can only trust people to a certain extent. But when someone's playing you like this, it's not trust issues, it's hurt issues. But here's the part that really gets me. After all that, OP still feels bad, wondering if he should talk to her again. Sweet Bun-Bun, that's the brain trying to make sense of all the gaslighting and lies. Trust is shattered, and she's the one who stomped on it. OP deserves so much better. Well, let's see what the top comments have to say. Top comment says, "Man, that's a tough spot to be in. It sucks when you trust someone and they just keep piling on the lies. You deserve way better." And another person said, "Why care if she sees this? She cheated on you." Which another commented, "Exactly, dude. Stand up for yourself and stop worrying about offending her." Well, bun-buns, have you ever been in a relationship where the red flags were right there, but you stayed way longer than you should have? What finally made you say, enough is enough? Let me know in the comments. Moving on to the second story. This one is from Just No Mother-in-Law, titled, "Mother-in-Law Popped My 8th-month-old." So, for context, to start off, mother-in-law and I have been in many verbal altercations once I was fed up with the constant disrespect, shit-talking, and belittling, and stopped being nice to her. We have no relationship whatsoever. She takes no accountability for anything at all and flips the script to fit her own psychotic perspective and make herself the victim. Anywho, my fiance and I are currently staying in her home, which has been nothing but hell for the both of us, and are luckily moving out at the end of the month. So, 2 days ago, I had just woken up, and Lo, I'm assuming is their baby, wasn't in the room because my fiance had taken him downstairs for mother-in-law to watch while he got a few things done. About 10 minutes into waking up, I hear Lo scream out crying, which he never does for no reason unless he's overly tired or hungry. So instantly, there were bells ringing in my head, and just pure motherly intuition, I had a feeling she did something to him. I tell my fiance to go check on him, and I can hear the conversation from upstairs because she's always yelling when being confronted about anything. While fiance is coming back upstairs, she continues speaking, and I hear her say, "Sting them once, they won't do it again." Mother-in-law used to babysit kids, so at that point, I knew she hit him because that was her means of disciplining and teaching children who weren't even above a year and a half old. My child is 8 months old, so instantly after hearing that, I jump out of bed and go confront her myself. Once again, she jumps to yelling and being aggressive. Snarky and bitchy tones while saying, "Yes, you're so right. I won't hit him again. Yeah," while rolling her eyes. Keep in mind, I was being as calm as I possibly could in that situation as she continued to yell, deflect, and downplay the situation. And once again, disrespected both me and my fiance as parents. While Lo was in his walker, he had been trying to mess with a wall socket, which they all have plugs in them for that reason. Any other time, mother-in-law would have just moved him, redirect his attention, or simply put another object in front of whatever he was going after. But instead, this time, she took it upon herself to get up and smack my 8-month-old baby, who has no idea why that happened at all. Sorry for the lengthy rant, but a whole 2 days later, and I'm still beyond pissed. If she could use that logic on a baby to hit them for being curious and not knowing any better, I had every right to slap her across her face to teach her not to do that again. I almost regret not hitting her, but at this point, I'm content knowing she will never see him again. Edit. Also forgot to add that by the time I got downstairs, which was barely 1 minute after it happened, she had taken him out of his walker and sat him on the couch with her and gave him a bottle while she was looking off watching television, like nothing just happened. My thing is, why did she not do that in the first place instead of hitting him? Then how I see it, basically removing him from the walker afterwards because he was screaming, crying, and giving him a bottle to shut him up. All I can think about is how many other times it may have happened that I just don't know about. Oh, Bun, this story is an absolute whirlwind of what in the fluffy heck? Let's dive right into this juicy mess. First off, let's give a round of applause to ROP for finally putting their foot down with that mother-in-law. Seriously, it sounds like she's been hopping all over boundaries, and it's about time someone stood up and said, "Not today, Karen." It's infuriating to see someone so devoid of accountability flipping scripts like they're auditioning for a drama club. The way she makes herself the victim? Classic move of a bunny in distress. But honey, we all see through that. Now, when it comes to her discipline methods, oh, the audacity. Hitting an 8-month-old? That's a one-way ticket to crazy town. Babies are curious little fluffballs, not misbehaving teenagers. It's like she's forgotten the whole point of caring for a child is to nurture and redirect, not to install fear with a smack. Can you imagine her thinking that a bop on the nose would actually teach a baby anything? Buns, please. A little one only knows how to explore the world, not how to interpret a smack. And then the way she tries to brush it off? Yikes. Rolling her eyes and being snarky while downplaying the whole situation? It's wild that she thought she could get away with that behavior, especially in front of the parents. Talk about a complete lack of respect. Honestly, if she were a bunny in the wild, she'd be the one getting kicked out of that burrow for bad behavior. OP had every right to hop down there and confront her. And let's not forget how she casually switched to giving the baby a bottle like nothing ever happened. It's almost like she thought that would just cover up her messy little mishap. Instead of addressing her actions, she just tried to shut him up, literally. The nerve. I get that the anger is still bubbling 2 days later. Any good mama would feel that fire. And you know what? It's perfectly fine to feel that way. The thought of how many other times she might have acted out on that, that's disturbing. Literally disturbing. OP deserves to know their little one is safe and sound without worrying about a mother-in-law who thinks hitting is an acceptable response. Buns, do not hit babies. I don't know why that needs to be said. But anyway, before wrapping up, the top comment says, "No access to the kid, full stop." And I agree. That mother-in-law should never, ever be around this child ever again. And another person says, "I don't even have kids of my own, and I very much want to punch your mother-in-law's lights out. Abusing an 8-month-old baby? What in the fluff?" And I mean, Buns, I feel like it doesn't really matter how old or how many months this baby is. Just don't hit babies. Don't. That's so wrong. The power dynamic there, so wrong. Okay? Anyway, so, Buns, have any of you dealt with a family member who crossed the line when it comes to discipline? How did you handle it? And what boundaries did you set? Share your tale. Jumping to the third story. This one is from Off My Chest, titled, "My wife wanted me to share my feelings. Now that I have, she's considering a divorce." Using a throwaway because I don't need my friends reading this. My 32 male wife, 30 female, of 6 years has told me that she isn't sure we should stay together and is considering a divorce because she's grown resentful. Just some context, about a year ago, we entered couples counseling because our communication was wasn't what it should be. She tended to get angry and lash out at me about things that seemed very small to me, and I never expressed my feelings, especially negative feelings, to my wife in any considerable capacity. Counseling went well. I learned, and am still learning, that I just need to let my wife vent and have an outlet for her negative feelings, even if I don't understand them, and realize that it isn't really about me. And she created a safe, emotional space for me to feel comfortable sharing my feelings with her. Fast forward to around 2 months ago, and we've started fighting a lot more again. Most of our fights seem to center around me expressing that she's done something that's hurt my feelings or upset me in some way. The fights almost immediately evolve into reasoning as to why I shouldn't be upset and shouldn't do anything wrong. She says she's just being herself and that she has to walk on eggshells with me, despite me pointing out that I'm just trying to talk about something that's bothering me, the way we worked out in counseling. She now tells me that she's built up a significant amount of resentment, that she feels like she can't do anything without me telling her that she did it wrong. I don't feel like I'm nitpicking, but mostly I'm disheartened because I've started to open up about how I feel, and now that it is no longer safe to do. None of these conversations lately have addressed my concern. I just end up apologizing for hurting her feelings when I was trying to talk about my feelings being hurt in the first place. She's looking at divorce options and is now sleeping in our guest room. I want to go back to couples counseling, but she seems against it for some reason. I just don't understand what I did wrong. Okie dokie, buns. This one sounds like a tangled mess. First off, big props to our friend here for finally deciding to express those bottled up feelings. That's a huge leap, but it seems like it might have turned into a leap right off a cliff. Look, it's crystal clear that communication was the name of the game here, but now it feels like the scoreboard's all out of whack. This poor guy thought he was opening a dialogue, but it seems like it turned into a game of emotional dodgeball. Every time he tries to share his feelings, it's like he's walking straight into a minefield of resentment. Like, can we talk about how this just being herself excuse sounds like the ultimate shield from accountability? Newsflash, being yourself doesn't give you a free pass to trample over your partner's feelings. And let's take a moment to acknowledge the irony here. They went to couples counseling to fix their communication, and now it feels like they're back to square one. How does one even manage to go from let's fix this to I'm considering divorce in such a short span? It's like a plot twist no one asked for. If she's feeling like she's walking on eggshells, it might be time to look at those eggs and see who's really cracking them. I can't help but wonder what's going on in that guest room. Is it just sleeping arrangement, or is it the ultimate power move? And why is she so against going back to counseling? That's a mystery even this bun can't solve. Anyways, top comment says, "It sounds like your wife is one of those people that sucks all the air out of the room. She needs space for herself to work through her things, but she doesn't seem capable of allowing you the same courtesy. For a relationship to work, both people need to be okay with working on their issues together, and being able to respect that sometimes you won't understand why your partner needs something from you. It's impossible to communicate with a person that doesn't want to listen or take anything you say personally as an attack. I don't always understand some of the things that bother my boyfriend, but we take the time to talk about it with an open mind and try to find a middle ground where we're both okay with a resolution. And it's the same when it's the other way around. Everyone's boundaries are different, and you don't always need to understand them to respect them. If she's not open to having the difficult conversation, then you're in for a long, tough road where she'll always fight to be right, as opposed to fighting for your relationship as teammates, and that's very hard to deal with." Alright, bun-buns, what do you think OP should do next? Should he keep pushing for more communication, or is it time for him to hop away and focus on himself? Let me know your thoughts. Up next, our fourth story is from Relationship Advice. Title, My 34 Male Wife, 31 Female, is having a meltdown over our daughter's personality, and I don't know what to do. What should I do? I am a 34-year-old guy, and I have a 16-year-old stepdaughter. My wife is 31. In high school, my wife was a popular girl stereotype. Pink blonde chunky highlights in her brown hair. This was the mid-late 2000s. She was on the cheerleading team, had lots of friends and boyfriends, was well-known and liked. She was basically the living embodiment of the picture-perfect girl from those cheesy 2000s high school movies. And then she got pregnant. When she was 15, she had her daughter. She doesn't know who the father is, and any potential fathers for the girl up and left way back when. Her daughter is recently 16. I never wanted kids. I found them annoying. But I fell in love with my wife and got married when she was 20 and I was 23, after dating for 2 years. We hit it off, and I married her and decided to suck it up around the kid. I never planned to absolutely love being a dad to her specifically. Kids still annoy me, but my daughter, stepdaughter technically, was different. She was quiet, nerdy, even at a young age. I married her mother when she was 5, and we clicked right away. We went on daddy-daughter dates every weekend. I played dolls with her, let her paint my nails and do makeup on me. I drove her to and from school in my cop car. We even did daddy-daughter duo costumes for Halloween. Over the past 2 years, she's developed a darker dress style. I don't know what the proper subculture of her outfits are, but according to her, she's dressing like a horror game protagonist and a Monster High character. Purple is her main color she incorporates into the specific aesthetic blend, as she calls it. I don't get it, but maybe that's because I'm a man in my 30s. I don't know. She likes ghosts, tarot cards, vampires, zombies, aliens, creepy Victorian dolls. I don't get it, but also I don't care because if it makes her happy, so what? She's also an introvert and prefers to play games on her computer or read fantasy occult novels rather than hanging out with other teens her age. She has friends, so I'm not too worried about her being completely withdrawn. I'm just glad I don't have to drive her around since she only has a learner's permit currently. My wife hates this. My wife always wanted a girly girl. Pink and pastels and flowers and all that. She wants our daughter to get a boyfriend, be more social, be a cheerleader like she was. Which in itself is valid. I get it. I'm sure most every parent has preferences for what they want their child to turn out like, and some disappointment when they stray from that fantasy is valid. My wife will constantly take and hide my daughter's dark room decor. She constantly gets pastel dresses for our daughter, tells her to wipe off her dark eye makeup, tries to set her up on dates with jock types from my daughter's school, and convince her to sign up for both school and summer activities like cheerleading or volleyball. I could have put up with all of that. I really could have. But a few weeks ago, I woke up to my wife finally hitting her breaking point. I woke up in the middle of the night to my wife screaming and having what I can confidently describe as a borderline meltdown. She was crying and saying all she ever wanted was a normal daughter who likes pink and is a cheerleader and has a boyfriend and will give her grandkids. I had to drag her out the hallway after 30 minutes of this. I kept thinking it would stop, but it kept going on and on. My daughter was just staring at this whole thing in the doorway of her room. What caused this meltdown from my wife? My daughter dyed purple over the blonde streaks/highlights my wife had forced her to get in her hair. which wasn't even breaking a house rule, as my wife and I have both told her she can do whatever she wants with her hair as long as she doesn't stain too many towels. It's been weeks, and my daughter won't talk to her mom. My wife is still up with her antics, but now it's in overdrive. Every day, she brings home some type of trendy clothing in pink or pastels and tries to give it to my daughter. My daughter is getting fed up and stays in her room all day and has confessed to me she can't wait for school to start back up in a few weeks so she can get out of the house and be with her friends again. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. I don't want to side with anyone in this situation. I understand my wife wants a daughter who she can relate, and my daughter wants a mom who understands her. I don't know what I can or should do. I need help. I need advice. Well, Buns, OP wrote an update, so I'm just gonna jump right into that. Update: my 34 male wife, 31 female, is having a meltdown over our daughter's personality, and I don't know what to do. So, it's been about a week since I last posted about how my wife was having a meltdown over how my daughter chose to dress. 2 nights after I posted, I sat my wife down and very bluntly asked her what exactly the problem was. She kept saying she just wanted a daughter who was similar to her, but after I kept asking, she broke down and admitted the real reason why she was having her meltdowns. My wife feels that her daughter is the only way for her to have more family in the future. She's estranged from her siblings, her parents don't speak much to her, and all her friends from high school stopped talking to her after her pregnancy. She wants a family back, and she's hoping that her daughter will marry a nice boy and give her grandkids so she can have a family again. She said she never brought up having more kids with me because she figured I'd be against the idea. I don't know how I feel about having more kids with my wife, but it certainly won't happen now. So my wife is in therapy to try and get her to realize that she can't just view my daughter as a way to create a family. She's doing well so far, but it's too soon to really tell. My daughter is also in therapy. She's been in therapy since she was a kid for bullying issues, but now her therapist is trying to focus on the meltdown situation with her. My daughter actually seems relatively unaffected by this whole situation, other than a little annoyed, so I don't know if that's good or not. I took my daughter to Hot Topic for some back-to-school accessories and then took her out to eat, just the 2 of us. She's still excited to go back to school. She misses her friends and her clubs. My wife and daughter have started talking normally again. They had a long talk, which I was present for, where my wife apologized for being so pushy and extreme with her wishes. My daughter was well receptive to this talk and seems to be back to her normal self. I am keeping an eye on both of them to be sure. My wife is doing her best to understand my daughter's interests. Last I know, the 2 were watching some slaughter TV show on Hulu as a way to bond, and it appears to be working. There isn't any bad blood between the 2. I know things are soon and that things can change, but so far everything appears to be smoothing over pretty well. Thank you all for the advice, harsh and gentle, that I reviewed through my original post. It definitely slapped me in the face as what could happen if I didn't get both of them help and make them talk it out. Well, Buns, this is like a total cheer mom gone rogue. Mom's stuck in a pom-pom fantasy trying to pastelify everything, while Dad's over here embracing the goth and spooky life with his daughter. Honestly, shout out to him for being the real MVP. Just letting her live her best horror game protagonist life. Meanwhile, Mom's having a full meltdown because her daughter dyed her hair, like we're in some Stepford drama. Screaming into the night isn't going to turn her daughter into the cheerleader of your dreams. Dad, on the other hand, is the calm in the storm. He's just rolling with it, supporting his daughter's individuality while keeping the peace in the house. And let's be real, without him balancing out this chaos, Mom's mission to pastel everything might have blown up the whole family. Thank goodness for therapy, because his chill energy only goes so far. Plus, the daughter's handling it all like a pro, way more mature than her mom's tantrums. I can totally see her doing tarot card readings with Dad while Mom sneaks another pink dress into the closet. Dad's got this, though. He's the real hero of this story. Anyway, to go to the comments, on the first post, top comment says, "My mom wanted me to be a version of her when I was a teenager too. She lost it on me, and my father didn't protect me either. He defended my mom. 30 years later, I have a strained relationship with both of them. Protect your kid and go tell your wife to get help with her trauma." And then, for the updated post, top comment says, "Just so your wife knows, like, plenty of goths go on to have families. I was the kid in high school who wore nothing but black and trip pants and spiked leather bracelets. And I'm happily married with a kid. Some of the most friendly, loving parents I know have very gothy aesthetics, and you can see examples of that decently frequently on social media if you look into it. Really, I think it's an issue of wife being immature and not processing that high school stereotypes from the 90s aren't real." Well, bun-buns, what do you think? And how would you handle it if your partner had an emotional crisis like this? Do you think this dad should do more to step in, or should he just keep playing the chill card? On to the next story. This one is from Petty Revenge. Title, "I've taken my brother's cemetery plots. They won't know until one of them dies. My mother never shared the details of her will with me or anyone in the family. When she died, we all learned she had made me executor of her will. My two brothers were very upset that their little sister, who has an MBA and a solid family life, was picked over them. Neither of them finished college, and one is an invalid who hasn't left his house in years. Mom left her house to the two brothers with the instructions that I sell the house valued at around $2,500,000 and divide the money between them. All her cash was to be divided between the heirs. Her other property was a small vacation home where her and my dead sister's ashes would be scattered. She left it to me and my dead sister's children. 30 or so years earlier, one of the brothers had told her he wanted to build his own cabin, so she deeded him an adjoint lot. When she died, it was still an empty lot. He convinced one of my nieces to sell him her share of the cabin for $1 and not tell any of the heirs before the paperwork was signed. The only way I found out was because he posted on Facebook, "I'm now a proud partial owner of my family's mountain cabin. According to my lawyer, no one can keep me out of it." We aren't friends on Facebook, but some mutual relatives are, and they alerted me to what had happened. In the state we live in, even a fractional ownership allows the partial owners to enter the property anytime without restrictions. There were some very ugly emails between him and my niece when she tried to get the property back, and he admitted he did this out of spite to hurt me and make sure my family and I didn't get to enjoy the property. Brother number 2 had emailed my niece several times and told her he was so proud of her for selling to her uncle and he'd never seen his brother so happy. Mom's will was written so that the estate would retain ownership of all property, including real estate, until the probate process was completed. Brother didn't understand that and thought he would have immediate ownership. His lawyer didn't read the will very well and thought the same thing. The only way to get the share of the cabin away from him was for my niece to refuse her share of the inheritance. Even with that, it costs the 600,000 estate, including the house she left to them, roughly 30,000 in attorney fees to fight this. But we won and the cabin is safe. I don't know how much he had to pay his lawyers, but it was a lot of money. The situation drug on for months. The property Mom had given him sits directly across from the cabin. Out of spite and anger, he clear-cut the property Mom had given him and brought it over 100 tons of gravel, so the wooded area now looks like a gravel parking lot. This is directly next to the place where Mom and sister's ashes are scattered. The brothers had asked for the 3 burial plots next to my dad. They adored and idolized him. Mom is scattered at the cabin, and she won't be using them. So I gave them the cemetery plot paperwork. But before probate ended, I had the plots put in my name, and they are legally mine now. The paperwork they have is worthless, but they don't know it. I didn't tell the brothers, and they won't find out until one of them dies, and they can't be buried next to Dad. Honestly, I know Dad wouldn't have approved of what they did. He loved Mom and would be very upset her ashes are scattered next to a gravel-covered lot, not the woods she loved. I haven't told them what I've done. Screw them. They wasted money from her estate and made Mom's resting place look horrible. They don't deserve to be buried next to Dad. Oh, bunnies, let me just grab some popcorn and settle in for this tale, because sis did not come to play. I mean, taking the cemetery plots, that's some next level long game pettiness. I can't help but respect it. You've basically turned family drama into the plot twist no one sees coming until it's too late. Literally. Imagine your brothers finding out that their golden ticket to eternal rest next to Dad is nothing more than a bunny trail leading nowhere. Oops, guess the paperwork they're clutching is about as useful as a soggy carrot. And the fact that they have no idea, I live for the suspense. It's giving, you'll die before you know what hit you. And honestly, I'm just here for the drama at this point. These brothers really thought they could outsmart the NBA sister with their dollar store cabin schemes and spiteful Facebook posts? Please, you didn't just outplay them. You left them in the dust. And you secured the family plot for yourself like the queen of estates you are. All while they're over there turning Mom's resting place into a gravel lot because clearly they're out of creative ideas. Classic. Okay, jumping to the comments. Top comment says, my mother has a clause in her estate that if any sibling disputed the will, they were excluded from the will. I thought it was brilliant. That is pretty smart. And another comment said, gravel on the surface is temporary. Weeds, grasses, then trees will grow there again. They'll have to pay to make it stay as gravel. And that's true. I'm sure OP's mom will eventually get that lovely forest or woods that she's been hoping for. So, bunnies, what do you think? Is this an epic revenge plot, or did she take things a hop too far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. For the 6th story, this one is from Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for shrugging when my dad's wife told me they needed all of Dad's money right now? I, 17 male, might be the asshole, and I might be a big one, but I wanted to get people's insight. So, my dad left my mom when I was 14 to be with his wife / the woman he was cheating on my mom with. My dad didn't want me to think badly of him, but I did. He knew I did, and he knew he couldn't change my mind easily. We always knew my parents would end up with shared custody until I was 17 at least. From experience, the judges in family court will only stop enforcing shared custody when a kid turns 17 and speaks out. Any younger, and they insist on 50-50. I also knew Mom would struggle on her own because while she did work, she never made as much as my dad. She also wouldn't get child support because of the 50-50, and it wasn't ordered even with the difference in income. So when Dad pleaded with me to give him a chance to show he could still be a good dad and he said he would do anything for me, I told him to keep supporting Mom and make sure she wasn't going to end up struggling while he got off easy. I told him she deserved that at least, after what he did, and that I deserved to see my mom doing well. My dad agreed, and he paid it as child support instead of spousal support or whatever it's called. It really helped Mom, and she actually went back to school so she could get a better job. Dad is still paying that money. He knows I appreciate him doing it, and he also knows it's one of the only reasons I didn't just decide to say, fluff him and never want a relationship again. My mom is also less stressed. She has mixed feelings about my dad giving her money when legally he doesn't need to, but she also knew this is the only way for me not to feel the need to help support her. Where my dad's wife comes into it is this. She never liked that my dad paid this child support. She never liked that I insisted on it for my dad and I to have a relationship. But now my dad's house is struggling a bit and some changes needed to be made. His wife's son and daughter were in dance, football, softball, karate, music lessons, and an art class as paid extracurriculars. My dad and his wife also have a baby together. The wife's kids had to cut 2 activities because they can't afford it anymore. It pisses his wife off because if Dad wasn't paying the money, they could still afford those things. She told me I should stop obligating my dad to support Mom because they needed it more and my mom isn't their problem. I told her she and her kids are not my problem. She told me they're my family while Mom is not her or her kids' family or my dad's anymore. I told her she and her kids are Dad's family but not mine. She told me they needed all of Dad's money right now before more things need to be cut back on. I shrugged in response. She told me I was so callously flippant, and it wasn't a good look to care so little about my siblings' lives. Only one of her kids, the baby, is technically my half-sibling. So, am I the a-hole? Yikes, buns. Not the a-hole, and oh boy, I've got some thoughts on this one. So, Dad's wife thinks she's got a say in where his money goes, huh? Honey, sit down and grab a carrot because we've got some hopping truth to lay on you. First off, let's talk about priorities. Daddy Dearest made a mess by stepping out, and this bunny here believes that cleaning up after yourself is the bare minimum. His son, aka OP, didn't demand anything extravagant. Just that this dad step up and ensure his mom doesn't get left in the dust after he hopped to a new pasture. That's called accountability. Some buns clearly need a crash course in that. And let's address the audacity. Sis really pulled the "we need all of Dad's money for extracurricular" cards? Girl, stop. Dance, karate, and music lessons are cute and all, but you know what's more important? Helping your ex not drown while you play house with your new family. Especially when you're the one cheating. So, OP didn't ask for this drama, yet here you are crying about soccer practice like it's the end of the world. Maybe fewer extracurriculars and more extracurricular decency could fix the situation. Also, the whole "they're your family now" bit, yeah, no. You can't just slap a new label on people and expect them to feel all warm and fuzzy. OP already made it clear that Mom is his priority, And it's about time stepmommy figured that out instead of whining about it. Look, bunny ears are twitching here, but OP showed way more class with that shrug than this lady deserved. Okie dokie. Bouncing to the comments, top comment says, NTA. The fluff did she expect sleeping with a married man? She can get a second job if money is a problem. ETA. Silly me, assuming she had a job other than homewrecker. Son of ETA. Yes, they are both homewreckers, but he's at least stepping up to the plate. She's not. And then another person wrote, absolutely not the a-hole. Dad didn't have to agree to pay your mom to buy your acceptance, and stepmom should have spoken up then if that was a problem. She probably did, but didn't push it so Dad's conscience could be eased. Stepmom is just paying the price for cheating with a married man, and Dad is suffering for his part too. Karma is a bitch. Now, to the burrow full of listeners. Have you ever had someone demand that you put their wants above your own needs? And how did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I know there's some tea to be spilled on this one. Hopping to the last story, this one is also from Am I the A-hole? Titled, Am I the A-hole for tearing apart my family? Throwaway due to how personal this is and that some friends know my main account. I, 30 female, was financially responsible for my family since I was 22. My parents were poor and always living paycheck to paycheck. My dad works but doesn't make much, and my mom is a stay-at-home mom and now retired. My brother barely graduated high school and cannot seem to hold down a job. I wanted to be a vet, but my parents thought it wouldn't make money and require too much school, so they forced me to do CS. I liked it, but it wasn't my passion. They did pay for part of my college. I also had a partial scholarship. And the second I graduated, they guilted me into giving at least half my paycheck to them. My mom said I owed her for giving birth to me, and she got fat because of getting pregnant with me. I also learned they had a shotgun wedding because of me, since being a single mom in our culture is extremely taboo. I was laid off November of last year. I didn't cause it. My entire team was let go because of an acquisition, and they decided to axe the product I worked on. I got 3 months severance from that, and when I told my parents, I was expecting some sympathy, but all they said was it was my fault because it was impossible to be laid off unless I did something wrong. They believe companies can do no wrong. I was shocked and extremely hurt when they told me I had 3 months to find a new job or not to bother speaking to them. Meanwhile, my brother had basically not held down a job for most of his adult life, and my parents didn't mind. I had covered their rent and car payments since I was 23, and they were so ungrateful. I got engaged a month later on Christmas, and my parents immediately began asking for money from my fiancé. He was shocked, and I was so angry how they only saw me and now him as an ATM and cut them out of my life. I blocked them everywhere and refused to speak with them. My dad works, but not for much, and this month, through relatives, they told me they are going to go home since my grandparents will let them live with them for free. My brother refuses to go along and has been couch surfing. Last I heard, he was staying at a homeless center. I've been called by every relative telling me what a shameful person I am for letting my parents be in poverty that they need to rely on their own parents. Everyone is threatening to boycott my wedding that I had been sending invites for. I don't really mind if they come as it's a formality. I'm required to send, but am I the a-hole for forcing them all to move and uproot their lives because of me? Ooh, hold on to your bunny tails because I've got some feelings about this one. First of all, not the a-hole. And who do these parents think they are? They really got OP, their daughter, to bankroll the whole family while brother is just hopping from couch to couch. And they've got the audacity to demand more? Oh no, honey, this bunny calls foul. OP owes them nothing. Not after being treated like a 9-to-5 ATM since she was practically out of school. And let's not even start on the you owe me for giving birth thing. Girl, they chose to have kids. What? Did you think OP was gonna come out with a full-time job in one paw and a bag of cash in the other? Bunnies call that delusion. If anything, OP should be applauded for sticking it out as long as she did, because those guilt trips, they're not normal. They're manipulative. Now, this part about being laid off and then the family doubling down on the blame? The nerve. They really said it's OP's fault for getting laid off, while their golden boy can't even hold down a job? Not only are they ungrateful, but their logic is about as sturdy as a paper carrot. It's giving major, we'll drain you dry and then make you feel bad for being tired vibes. And let's talk about OP's fiance for a sec. Imagine just getting engaged and now the in-laws are already lining up for money. Sir, run. Or better yet, do exactly what OP did and block them from all corners of life. The fact that they think they can still demand a free ride when OP's been supporting them since forever? Wild. As for all these relatives suddenly crawling out of the woodwork with their opinions, classic. Everybody has something to say when the well dries up. I've got a simple question for all these folks. If they care so much, why don't they chip in and help out? Or is all that talk just for show? Yikes, yikes, yikes. Okay, let's see what the comments have to say. Top comment says, not the asshole. You are not responsible for your parents or your brother. They are capable adults and should be supporting themselves. When your family calls to harass you, you tell them they can send their paycheck to your parents at whatever your parents' address is. It's easy to point fingers. Let them put their money where their mouth is. Another person commented, not the a-hole. You've given enough all these years. It was finally time for you to live your life and enjoy the money you're working hard to earn. You're not responsible for your brother's situation. He's healthy and capable of working and finding a place to live. You're not responsible for your parents' situation either. Parents who blame their child for being born are assholes anyway. And I totally agree with that. Now, bun-buns, have you ever had to deal with relatives treating you like a walking wallet? How do you draw the line between family loyalty and just getting used? Spill your thoughts in the comments because this bunny is ready to hear the tea. And that's the end of today's tales, my lovely bun-buns. I hope you enjoyed these juicy Reddit stories just as much as I did. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment or review to let me know what you think. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Usagi_Tales for even more fun content. And hey, if you have any stories you'd like me to read or games you want to see in the background, send them my way. I love hearing from you all. Until next time, stay curious and keep hopping down the rabbit hole of juicy stories. Bye-bye, bun-buns.